Welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to go over 20 of my modifications that I have done. And some of these modifications are really easy that you could incorporate this in any RV. So let's start out over here. Now these modifications, besides you doing them, a lot of these manufacturers, of course, should include some of these from the get-go. So let's start right over here. This is my USB or USB speed charger. If you look at it, I actually have an on and off button on this one. And it has the USB-C and the traditional USB connection, and with the on and off button. And why that on and off button is important is because, I don't know if you're familiar with USBs, the 12 volt USBs, they actually constantly draw a little bit of power. It doesn't matter if something's plugged in or not. And I have 9 of these throughout my RV. So without that on and off button, it's always drawing a little bit of power. Now this is really easy. There's different types, but this one just has a screw on the top and the bottom. I was able to reuse the old screws. They didn't line up exactly, but I didn't have to drill new holes. The other kind are the traditional cigarette lighter type, but you can do an Amazon search and there'll be many different types. I've done installation videos of everything that I'm going to show. So if you're interested, I could show that in a different link. So that's number 1. Jumping to number 2, this particular sink. If you've seen, many people have these sink mats like this. And a lot of them actually go over from one side to the other side. And I happen to find one that fits exactly perfectly recessed inside. I think it looks better, and of course it functions better. And then you can obviously use your cutting board on top. Those sink covers, especially this one, they're really heavy and they're kind of a pain in the butt. So I went with this great cover here. So this number 2, I'll include, of course, this splash mat here. It just wraps around the faucet. When you're turning the water on and off, how your water from your hands usually go all over the counter. So the splash mat is nice to have. And altogether 3, of course, every sink, you can see the debris in there. You have to have that little sink strainer. But that's what I would call my number 2 modification. And then jumping up to my upper cabinet here, what you will see is I have these felt pads. So this is number 3. Typically they come with that little round clear rubber bumper, and they never line up, or they shift on you, or they fall off. And if they do, the door has a tendency to rattle going down the road. And I've done this on my Winnebago too, but every one of my doors, so you see it on here, as well as my upper cabinets, same thing. I put it across the upper cabinet. And even the drawers, if you go down to the drawers, I had the same problem, so I put it on the side of the drawers. You can see here, before I put that felt strip on here, it's really hard to see on video, but you'll see this shiny part here. The wood was rubbing against each other and it was wearing this portion of the wood out. So that's why I put the felt pads there. So that's number 3. And then going underneath the sink, I have a couple of modifications here. So let's jump to 4. Number 4. What I put here is a little cutting board holder. Now this holder comes with the cutting boards. You know how cutting boards are always odd shaped and it's really hard to find a home for them? But they just go in like that. I put some felt pads on the back here so it doesn't vibrate too much. It's a great place for cutting boards. It's just on there with sticky back tape. It comes with the tape. And number 5 is right here. These are the sink covers, and they're really heavy, and it's always a hard time finding a home for these. So what I ended up putting in is one of these clamps here. So if you lift the clamp like that, then you can pull the cutting boards out. You have to kind of tilt them at an angle. But you see here, I have a 1-inch shim. I did have to have a shim. How these clamps work is it works with the thickness of the material. So really inexpensive. I had all this stuff on hand. These clamps, I think the package was like a pack of 12. So that is number 5. All right, so that's for underneath the sink. A modification I do have to do is I do need to make a pull-out tray for this coffee maker because my countertop is really small on this RV. So I have to do that one yet. So jumping to number 6, let's go over here, is this charging station here. So this is just put on this countertop here with that clear double stick tape. But my kids have tablets, We have cell phones. So these are two pieces. This is an actual charger, and this is just a holder. This charger is attached here with that clear sticky back tape too. But you can see, you can charge up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 devices. But the first two, they are the ultra fast speed charging. So they will work for these tablets or charge them faster. They work for a Nintendo Switch. And this first one also works for a laptop. Of course, this is also plugged in with 110. So how that works is you do have to have outlet power in order to power this. But instead of having the laptops and cell phones and tablets strewn everywhere, this is a place, even on travel, it can just sit there and charge. So that would be number 6. And with that, I have these little organizers here. Same thing. They're put on there with just that clear sticky back tape. So everything you can just take off really easy. Jumping to number 7. I think the touchless garbage can always gets an honorable mention, but I won't count that one. Same as the rug. This is the same type of rug I used in the Winnebago that I just cut around the bottom. But going to number 7, down below shoe storage. If you look here, I have shoe storage, but it's just stuffed in there and on there with, really hard to see, with command hooks. So there's no screws or anything. I didn't have to do any cutting or modification. It doesn't fit in there perfect, but it does hold some shoes in here. It is a little bit wasteful because it's not utilizing the full storage, but without modifying the whole cabinet, which I did not want to do. I think the manufacturers, it would be really nice, this cabinet. There's plenty of room to make a nice shoe storage, and I think a lot of manufacturers, that's one thing they're lacking. So let's jump on to number 8. So number 8, what I have here, I have an old cell phone. It's basically a spare cell phone, and it's connected to anything Wi-Fi in the RV. And I basically installed all the Bluetooth devices. So my RV has a main Bluetooth control panel here. So we can control the temperature, read all the tank sensors, start the generator, check the battery, so on. Basically everything that we can control in the RV can control through this panel. And that is just connected via Bluetooth app. Okay, so what I have here is representing my other cell phone. So if you're remotely somewhere else, let's say I'm at home, I'm at work, or on a hiking trail, as long as you have internet service or cell phone coverage on your cell phone itself, you can use this TeamViewer. So we're using this TeamViewer basically as a remote control. And we're remote controlling into my S20 cell phone. That would be this cell phone right here. So that would stay in the RV, and you're remotely anywhere in the world. And basically, let me see if I can do this here. We're remote controlling right into this cell phone. So everything you do on this phone, it's just basically mimicking that phone. That way you can control anything within your RV. And one of the great things about having that control panel is you can check the temperature. So here I have temperature in my rear of the RV, the front of the RV, and the exterior, and even my tank compartments. But it has all the functions of no different than being on this control panel itself. So I can check on my dog, make sure the temperature is okay. But TeamViewer is the software, and it's free to use for anyone. And it's been around for a long time. And like I mentioned, I've used this at work before. So security-wise, I don't really have an issue with. And I'm just using minimally for more of remote controlling into that other phone that has no other function besides just Bluetoothing into all my other devices. So that is number 8. And let's jump over to number 9. Number 9, what I have here is, this is basically where I have my Dyson vacuum cleaner. So, I couldn't mount the physical extension with it, but I can put it here. And of course, I do have, because it's in a slide out, I do have to come and plug it in over here. But it's nice out of the way, and I do keep my actual long part of the Dyson over here. Really simple, but I do like these Dysons better than that Dirt Devil you put in the basement and you have to lug around all the hoses. I find this is much easier to use. And the newer models of Dysons, they are expensive, but they work much better than the previous generation Dysons. Let's go ahead to the back and jump to number 10. So number 10 in the back here this is my closet area. I've done this on the Winnebago too, but I put these closet stoppers in, You know, they're just barbell clamps. They just go on there and they lock. So I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. But basically, because I have a long closet, I put a couple of these in. That way you can push things to the side and things aren't just rattling around back here. The thing I did have to do is I did have to put a screw in here to clamp these two together. Otherwise this free spins and this is really hard to clamp down because the rod likes to spin on you. But just push it over and clamp it in. Really easy to use. So that is number 10. Okay, we will jump on to number 11 here, and that would be in my air conditioner. I'm not sure if I'll put a clip in here, but that's putting in that RV airflow systems. I've done a complete different video on the Winnebago on this. But any factory air conditioner, they perform pretty poorly if it's a ducted kind. And I've done plenty of air tests on this, but I think the RV airflow system is definitely a manufacturer requirement. Now the good thing is there's another brand that has come out, so there's some competition on it. But bottom line is the factory air conditioner, the way it's ducted, it's terrible ducting, and I highly suggest doing something about that. So let's jump on to the next item. We will go to the back and let's look at number 12. Now I've done a complete separate video on this too, but you know, these magnetic vent covers, those are pretty common. But what's not common, let's jump over here. Let's go to my shower here and you see my skylight. So this skylight is same as the Winnebago skylight. Many different RVs have this exact same skylight. But I put a magnetic cover on here as well. Now this is not designed for this specifically, and it's made for the Velcro to go around, and I really didn't want to do it with the Velcro, so I did the same concept as I put magnets inside the frame. So when I'm not using it, I can just take it down and put it away. Really easy. And jumping to number 12. Right here, this corner caddy here, I think every shower, the problem with these showers is there's no place to store stuff, especially if you're driving down the road. So here, I have one of these corner caddies. It's just on there with that clear sticky tape. And it sits in there nicely, and I can just leave all my soaps and shampoos in here while going down the road. And then number 13, I've shown it already, but this is the water saving feature. I have one on the shower, and then of course, we have one over here. That's for the faucet. I don't know if this is number 13 or 14, but the toothbrush holder. So I have one of these toothbrush holders. It is rechargeable, battery operated, and it has a little fan and a UV light. But more importantly, it's just a place to store your toothbrushes so you're not throwing it in a cup. It has this little cover to keep the dust out. So I do like that. I think this item was actually number 15. So let's go ahead and jump to number 16. Alright, jumping to number 16. This would be in my wet bay right now. But that's these glove holders. I literally have these glove holders in every single compartment. This one is for the dumping out the tanks, and this is just miscellaneous gloves just for handling any clean stuff. So that would be number 16. And I'll show you some in the other compartments as well. Number 17, I did a complete different video on it. That's this macerator over here. So let's go ahead and close that. And jumping over here, you will see that I did the same thing here. I have some glove holders here just for regular gloves. And then I have these waterproof gloves for handling the water in really cold temperature. You know, in really cold temperature, it really sucks to handle anything wet. So I have these specifically for handling the water hose during really cold temperatures. Let's jump on over to number 18. So jumping on over to number 18 is over on this bay here. And you may have seen a glimpse of it on the other side. But number 18, I have right here. These fishing rod holders. Really easy to install. It's just on there with that double stick clear tape and a couple of screws. But here I can hold 6 fishing poles, and it goes all the way through. And I don't have to disassemble these. I know I've had some comments where people think that the pass-through part is useless, but there are some uses for it. It's not the tallest, but this is one of the main reasons why I like that full pass-through. And with the same thing is carpet down in the compartments. Now these compartments are plastic, and you know, things slide everywhere like crazy. So I put carpet throughout all my compartments. Looks like that was actually number 19. I think that throughout this video I made some confusion on all the numbers, but we'll consider that 19. And then let's go to number 20. And jumping to number 20, you can see back there my Starlink. I've done way too many videos on it, but you can see the Starlink back there. That has to be our second favorite modification as well, because we do really like, you know, the macerator, or I like the macerator as my number 1, but the Starlink would come in as number 2. So that is 20 of my modifications. Like I mentioned, some of them you've actually seen before, and some of course new, and most of them pretty easy to do. There are a couple that are a little hard to do, but more importantly, I think the manufacturers can definitely incorporate some of these modifications. I don't know why. This is a 2023 model. I don't know why still to this day they're putting in that ancient USB that doesn't charge very fast. But many different modifications. I do have many more that have been done that I didn't feature. And then of course many more planned. But that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed some of these modifications. Again, nothing extraordinary, but you know, sometimes I like to see videos of other people's ideas, and some of these are going to be very unique to the RV model itself, and some of them, you know, you can definitely incorporate into any RV. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and I think on the next video I may do some repair series where I do all the repairs at the same time. Now, we've had this RV for long enough, and surprisingly, we've had quite a few things break on us that I've done a video on everything. So maybe I'll consolidate that all into one video if I have time for it. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. Please hit that thumbs up button, and we'll see you on the next video.